Hi, it's Friday evening. It's just gone past 10 o'clock in Hong Kong time. Let's get down to it. It's been a long week. We've got the euro here against the Swiss franc. It's a weekly 5-year chart, and you can see from where my mouse is, a long downtrend has been broken. And then you've had a period between 2012, 2013 of this going sideways, and you can see it's gradually edging higher, coming out of its year and a half base. Looks pretty positive. Over the longer term, I would be selling my Swiss francs and converting them into euros. And here we go, there's the monthly chart with a longer time frame, huge downtrend, and it's broken in 2012. And it looks like the market is preparing to turn around on that particular trade. How long it will last, I don't know. But it's quite obvious that the downtrend's been broken, and it looks to be an upward movement from here for the next few months at least. The euro against the renminbi, the yuan, whatever you want to call it. Big downtrend broken here, gone sideways. I've started selling out of my renminbi quite a while ago, back in 2011, when the commodity market was tapering off. I am buying some Chinese stocks, specifically trying to select the ones that have been in a low base area for a good couple of years. So I'm forced obviously to hold Chinese currency. But in the main, I would be going long the euro against the yuan. Euro against FX Canadian, you can see from 2009, huge downtrend. About here where my mouse is, sort of 2013, we're starting to see that downtrend now going sideways. What that tells me is that people are moving out of the Canadian dollar back into euros. It might be the health of the European economy. Companies, they need to bring money back because they're being forced to. The banks are deleveraging, and it could be the fact that the Canadian market is pretty overvalued at the moment with property, and it's commodity based as well. So it seems a lot of euros moving back into the back into the Canadian market. That's just another monthly chart. And here's the British pound, onto the pound now against the yen. You can see a lovely base. It reached its bottom in 2009, one bottom there, another bottom in 2011, double bottom, and from there it's gradually moved up. Jesse Livermore used to talk about the pivotal points. There's a pivotal point, didn't break it. Shakeout here, didn't break it. Nice flat top triangle we can see here, longer term one, breaking out. This has been a good trade so far. I would say probably the trend's going to continue, and I'm not selling pounds against the yen. I'm still long, and I'll hold this position so long as the trend stays up. It's just a monthly chart. As you can see where my mouse is, draw a trend line. It clearly breaks it in 2012. It's a great signal for long-term trends when they're broken. There's the British pound against the Chilean peso. You can clearly see a good bottoming action here. Of course it could carry on downwards, but from here the odds, the probabilities, I would say that the pound's going to be moving up against the peso, going to get stronger. So I'd be selling out any of your pesos that you hold against the British pounds in the next couple of months. British pound, Taiwan dollar, same thing here. You've got where my mouse is, you've got a huge downtrend that's broken, goes sideways, nice little shakeout to try and get people short the market, and it bounces back up. I'll be watching the market from here, but to me this looks like potentially a new trend developing, and I would be going long pounds against the Taiwan dollar. British pound against the Singapore dollar. Again, huge downtrends. There's been very good reasons for this. You know, Singapore's got a stable economy. It's well run. Its budget deficit is tiny in comparison to the British pound. But as I say, I don't trade on fundamentals when it comes to making key decisions. The only thing that you can go off is the price action long term. And you can clearly see that it's still in a downtrend here. but it seems to be curving out and straightening out again. So I'd be wary of this market. I wouldn't exactly go long the pound against the Sing dollar, but I would be closing my positions and moving more into pounds if I was holding Singaporean dollars and I needed to switch. British pound, Korean won, again similar sort of circumstances to the Singaporean and the Taiwanese. We've got a market here going sideways. Looks like we've got a double bottom where my mouse is here and here. It's broken a trend here, and it's broken a long-term downtrend as well. It's not exactly in an uptrend. It doesn't exactly look fantastic at the moment, but I would still be going long the pound against the Korean won. Pound against the dollar, Canadian that is. You can see again very similar to the Singaporean market. A lot of markets have been moving in tandem the last sort of 12 years or so. But we can clearly see the downtrend broken here, a nice sort of sideways pattern. And I'll be watching the pivotal points, these sharp bottoms here, to see if it goes lower. My suspicion is that we're going to move higher from here over the next couple of years. And we'll see the pound up at around the 170, 175 level before we see any sort of downward movement. So I'd be long the pound against the Canadian dollar. There's just a monthly chart. You can clearly see this downtrend line broken here, but this long-term one here from 2004 where my mouse is, you know, you draw a line, it's kind of still in that trend, so we await to see. You know, I know fundamentally, when you look at the countries, Canada's got huge resources, a vast country, massive potential, limited debt compared to the UK, but that doesn't really mean anything in trading. You know, for a couple of years, trends develop, and more longer term is where you get the commonsensical trends developing, but for at least a couple of years we could see a rebound in the pound versus Canadian dollar. US dollar versus Canadian, again I'd be long the US dollar against the Canadian. It looks to me like it's heading up to 112, 114 area where my mouse is. You clearly see a long-term downtrend broken. I was going long. I bought a little here, which was, you know, well too early. I shouldn't have done that. I bought a little here, and I've just been buying in a small way, expecting the market to move up, and I think you're going to see a parabolic move, maybe up to sort of 110, 112, and then I'll look to see what happens from there. But you can clearly see that a bottom formed, and it was going sideways from mid-2011 onwards, pretty much the top of the commodity market as well. So yep, long the US dollar versus the Canadian. And also a lot of people are saying at the moment about Canadian house prices being extremely overvalued, and that should factor into the market negatively for the Canadian dollar in the next 6 months or so. And of course, the lowering of commodity prices is going to hurt their economy tremendously. Again, nice monthly chart there, huge downtrend. Ben and Greenspan and Bernanke, and then it sort of finished in 2008, huge spike upwards, and a lot of this looks to be buying here. You know, a lot of professional buying coming in at these low levels, supporting the market. The public during 2011, 2012 were highly negative on the US dollar. Fantastic contrarian trade buying into the dollar at around these low levels. US dollar versus the Norwegian Krone. I was about to say before I clicked off that again that looks to be positive for the US dollar. It looks to gonna advance anyway, in at least in the next 6 months against the Franc. And a big thanks to barchart.com for supplying the charts. They're nice charts. Really enjoy using their website, and I use them every day. And I think that's a nice way to finish off Bernard Boranch, or however you pronounce his surname. The greatest blessing of our democracy is freedom, But in the last analysis, our only freedom is the freedom to discipline ourselves. How true. Okay, over and out, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.